Every time I close my eyes, I'm back there. I can still hear the metal tearing apart, that screeching, unnatural sound like the whole world has just been split open. People screaming at the top of their lungs, things flying around. This was hell. And then just this terrible silence. I don't remember how long I was out, but when I came to, everything was twisted, shattered. My body felt broken, but that wasn't what made me freeze. I looked at my side, and there was my son Timmy, still strapped into a seat, his face pale and terrified. And then, all of a sudden, there was someone else standing there, painted in red from head to toe, like some kind of monster. He was just staring at me. I tried to scream, I tried to move, but it was like my whole body had turned to stone. All I could do was watch in horror as he reached out, grabbed Timmy, and dragged him away. And then everything went dark again. When I woke up again, it was just me. No Timmy. Just this twisted wreckage of a plane all around me, and nothing but silence. My first thought was Timmy. My only thought was Timmy. I staggered out of the wreckage, screaming his name, searching for any sign of him. But nothing. Only trees, thick and silent, with no signs of my boy. I could feel panic crawling up my throat, but I forced myself to keep moving. He's out there. I keep telling myself, all I have to do is find him. As I stumbled forward, the reality of where I was started to set in. This forest was alive. Every time I moved, I could hear insects buzzing, animals moving in the underbrush, and strange bird calls echoing through the trees. The whole place felt like it was watching me. But I didn't care. I only had one thought, one mission. Timmy. The more I searched, the worse things got. I started seeing strange, twisted little totems made of sticks, stones, and human bones. And all from the trees, there were things hanging like some kind of a ritual. It felt like a warning, but of what I had no clue. They were just trees, I told myself. It's just trees and shadows. I kept moving, calling out Timmy's name, ignoring every part of me that screamed that I needed to leave. But then I realized I wasn't alone. It started with the small things, an odd shadow here, a shape that darted around over by the trees. But eventually I saw them. Their faces were pale, hollowed eyes, faces painted in wild patterns, watching me from a distance. They wouldn't come any closer. They didn't make any sounds. They just watched me. I was convinced that there was something messing with my mind, but deep down, I knew better. Every night I tried to make some kind of a shelter out of sticks and leaves, anything that could hide me, but sleep never came. I would just sit there, clutching anything that could pass as a weapon, listening to the sounds of things moving in the trees. Every creak, every rustle felt like it was right behind me, watching me. I was terrified. But every morning I would get up and search for Timmy. Every step was harder than the last. Every night, my hope dimmed a little. But then I'd think of his face, how scared he must be. All I know is Timmy's out there. I just have to find him. After days of endless searching, I found a cave, yawning mouth in the side of a cliff, and something about it felt wrong. But I also felt like I had to explore it. I had to step inside, and when I did, the darkness swallowed me whole. The silence was so complete, I could hear my own heart pounding, and then I saw them, crayon drawings on the wall, torn pieces of paper and fabric, things of Timmy's. He had been there. I could feel my own voice break as I called his name, my hands shaking as I touched each piece. My son was here, but there were other things too. Bones, skulls, all arranged in patterns like some sort of sick decorations. I was horrified. I could barely think, but I kept moving deeper. I had to find him. And And that's when I saw it, crawling out of the shadows. This thing wasn't human. At least, not anymore. It looked like something straight out of a nightmare. All twisted with bones and stretched skin, dragging itself across the floor like it had barely learned how to move. I froze. My body would not respond. This thing looked at me, its hollow eyes piercing right through me. And then it lunged at me, trying to crawl backwards, the world spinning. Somehow, I managed to escape. But every second inside, every sound, every shadow made me realize that I was trapped in a place that wasn't for people. It was for monsters. When night fell again, I barely made it back to my camp before they came. This time, I could hear them rustling, grunting, screaming, their eyes glinting in the darkness just beyond the edge of my fire lane. And then without warning, they attacked. It was pure chaos. I swung, I kicked, I bit. I felt like my life depended on it, because I was pretty sure it did. Every swing I took, I felt a little weaker. My breath felt a little shorter. I was terrified I was going to die there, alone, in the dark, without ever seeing Timmy again. But then, as I was at the last piece of my fiber, dawn came, and somehow I had made it out alive. The next day, I stumbled upon what looked like an old village. Just bones and crude huts, scattered with relics of people who had been there before. Cages, rusted cages. They looked like they were made for people, and for a second I thought I'd seen one that looked small enough for a child. The thought of Timmy being trapped in one of those tears me apart. I keep looking. I keep searching, desperate to find anything that could help me find him. All I could find was death. When night fell, I knew they were coming again. This time, they didn't wait. They came for me all at once, dozens of them, rushing in from every direction, and I was cornered, fought with everything I had, swinging my arms around until they went numb, my voice raw from screaming. It was a blur of claws and blood and pure terror. I was fighting every inch for my life, and every time I stumbled, every time I fell, I could feel them getting closer. But all I could think about was Timmy. His face, his laugh, his little voice, the warmth of his hugs. Somehow that pushed me to keep going, to stand back up even when my body wouldn't let me. And then, when the first light of dawn broke through the trees, they were gone. As the sun rose, I was left standing there, bleeding. I knew that they would be back again, and that every day I stayed here was a countdown to my eventual death. But no matter what, I couldn't leave. Not without my son. So here I am, waiting, praying for some miracle, some sign that he's still out there. But this forest, this hell I'm in, it's not gonna let me go. Not until it's taken everything from me.